chaos doesn't always announce itself with screams. Sometimes it walks in wearing silk, carrying a smile, and offering help. Don Gabbana's arrival didn't stop the violence. It reframed it. He scolded Alecchio like a disappointed father. He produced a full potion as if pulling a coin from behind someone's ear. He healed the wound his own man had caused. To the hall, it looked like mercy. To Mjöllmile, it looked like a contract written in public. Because a favor offered loudly is never a gift. It's a chain. The whispers spread instantly. Gasps at the potion's value. Reverence for Gabbana's wealth. Admiration for the pairing everyone feared but respected. Money and violence, moving together without resistance. This was how underworld legends were built. Not by killing everyone in the room, but by making everyone grateful you didn't. Mjöllmile felt the familiar tightening in his chest. That old instinct. The one that said, stay small, stay quiet, survive. Then he saw the badge. Magisteel, glowing faintly. 3 intertwined snakes. Reg. The recognition didn't hit like thunder. It hit like cold water. Fear didn't spike, it vanished. Because suddenly, the picture snapped into focus. This wasn't a threat, it was confirmation. Reg had already swallowed Don Gabbana whole. The titan standing before him, the underworld giant the monster merchants whispered about, wasn't an equal power. He was a subordinate. Mjöllmile's breathing steadied. The room hadn't changed, but the scale had. He'd spent months negotiating with beings who erased nations by accident. True dragons who treated cities like chess pieces. Demons who conquered councils without ever raising their voices. Compared to them, Gabbana was small, and small things didn't get to dictate terms. Mjöllmile stepped forward. How do you intend to atone for this incident? The words were calm, measured, almost polite, and they detonated. The question stunned everyone, master and beast alike, because it flipped the story in real time. This wasn't generosity anymore. It was accountability. This wasn't mercy. It was responsibility. Gasps rippled through the hall as merchants connected dots they hadn't known existed. Reg, the Alliance, the shadow power behind the throne. Alecchio snarled, raw instinct screaming violence. Gabbana stopped him with a hand, but the balance had already shifted. Mjöllmile didn't see monsters anymore, only men standing in a room far smaller than the forces backing him. He raised his voice once. Not loud, not threatening, absolute. And the room obeyed. Even his wounded guard felt it. The audience felt it. This was the moment the Western underworld realized something irreversible. Mjöllmile wasn't borrowing power. He was standing at its center. He didn't throw a punch. He didn't threaten blood. He weaponized authority, optics, timing. A near-fatal confrontation became a public reckoning. When Alecchio's violence was reframed as an insult to office, not pride, the ground vanished beneath them. By my name as Guard Mjöllmile, I promise you that I'm not afraid to fight. The declaration didn't land because of strength. It landed because everyone knew who stood behind him. Tempest. Reg, powers so far beyond the room's comprehension, they didn't even have names for them yet. Gabbana tried to recover. Offered conciliation, leaned on wealth. The full potion, once a symbol of obscene power, was dismissed. That cheap drug, not shouted, not mocked, dismissed. Currency stripped of meaning. Publicly cornered, Gabbana withdrew. The hall erupted. And in that cheer, raw, uncertain, electric, Mjöllmile secured something more valuable than allies. Legitimacy. He didn't waste it. He unveiled the plan immediately. Blumund as a logistical hub, a nerve center. Rimuru's ambition. Variard's foresight. No one committed. Not yet. Fear lingered. Fear of Regi's retaliation. But that hesitation worked in his favor, because if Mjöllmile survived today, he became untouchable tomorrow. He had openly defied RG's most visible face, while secretly being its G. Risk turned into proof. The merchants didn't pledge loyalty, but they watched. And in a world ruled by confidence and survival, attention is the first step toward dominance. The abduction came next, a formality. One last bluff by men who didn't yet know they'd already lost. A black carriage arrived in daylight, brazen, theatrical. Every rattling wheel promised death. Mjöllmile boarded it smiling, because this wasn't an execution route. It was home turf. The destination wasn't an enemy stronghold. It was the Sons of the Velt's Inglesian headquarters, a place Mjöllmile himself had helped design. From the moment they arrived, the imbalance was obvious. Alecchio postured. Mjöllmile observed. The descent underground stripped confidence layer by layer. Guards deferred not to Alecchio, but to something unseen. Names surfaced, 7 blades, hidden bosses. Each revelation tightened the noose. By the time they reached the candlelit chamber, secrecy itself sealed the outcome. The doors closed. Nearly 100 reg leaders filled the room. Those who recognized Mjöllmile knelt instantly. The rest followed a heartbeat later. No? Sir Mjöllmile is one of our bosses? Don Gabbana's shock echoed like a confession. The man who'd summoned them to order an execution was exposed mid-conspiracy. Glenda Attlee delivered the verdict without raising her voice. The target of Gabbana's wrath was one of Reg's ruling figures. Authority snapped back into place. Mjöllmile thanked Glenda, praised the conference, casually doubled her merit points. The gesture wasn't threatening, it was bureaucratic, which made it devastating. Then he was guided to the altar-turned throne and sat. This wasn't a trap, it was a reveal. The room wanted blood. Executions were proposed, grotesque, creative, terror as governance. Mjöllmile stopped it. They will not be punished. The chamber fractured. Veterans argued. Mercy invites weakness. Saving face is the true currency. Yang of the Black Nails spoke it plainly. Mercy proves amateurism. Mjöllmile didn't shout. He asked one question. Who's screwing with me? The bravado died because no one could answer. No one could name a single person who could defeat him. Not with Glenda at his side, not with Reg behind him. Even Glenda was exposed. Her subtle manipulation called out without theatrics. And then the warning. Quiet. Absolute. If I go, all of Reg goes. Not a threat. The room understood. Mjöllmile wasn't ruling through fear. He was the keystone. Remove him, and the structure collapsed. Ambition to overthrow him died, not because it was forbidden, but because it was pointless. Consolidation didn't end in blood, it ended in doctrine. Allegiance was formalized. Dissent dissolved. Don Gabbana and Alekhio would live, not as mercy alone, as a declaration. Reggie would no longer be ruled by spectacle or fear. When they bowed, it wasn't terror that bound them. It was inevitability. Then came the rules. Simple, disarming, radical. Do not betray your friends. Forgive honest mistakes. Never punch down. A criminal empire with restraint, with pride, not purity. Consequences followed. The Gabbana family was dismantled and absorbed. Don Gabbana became a financial advisor under a new name, burdened with the Magitrain project. Alekhio was humbled, defeated, then offered a future. Strength reframed. Responsibility over dominance. You're always going to find someone stronger than you. Publicly, the truth vanished under smoke. An FNTA mansion burned. Journalists spun nightmares. Reg and FNTA reached a truce. The world accepted the fiction. Behind the curtain, profits exploded. Branches earned in hours what ministers earned in years. Governments took their cut. Mjöllmile watched the numbers climb, exhilarated, uneasy, because it all felt unreal. But he wasn't done. My name is Guard Mjöllmile, and until death finally visits me, I'm never going to stop trying. What began as survival became ambition. Reg was reformed. The FNTA unleashed, and Mjöllmile, once a frightened merchant, now ran alongside giants. Still climbing, always climbing.